Hey, Nicole. You're muted, Nicole.
Hi,
Hi,
how are you guys doing?
we're doing good. How about yourself?
Good, thank you.
Yay. Is Dr. Hendon gonna join us today?
I unfortunately I got a text message from him right now that he's stuck in clinic, unfortunately, um, last minute. So he actually will not be on the call. Is that a problem?
I mean, we can get started if there's any
Yeah.
information. We're gonna record it today, so I
Okay.
mean, he can see the recording, and if he wants to attend like another one, maybe just the beginning, so you can see that part, he's more than welcome to.
Okay,
Just let
perfect.
me know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so we'll get started then.
great.
Okay, we're so happy that you're here, and we are excited to be starting our SIVs already for this
Mhm.
study. Let's get started. Okay, so as we discussed in our email, the training is going to be in two parts. It's going to be first, we're going to focus more for the entire staff, and we're going to talk about the patient registry protocol and the site responsibilities. And then the second part of the training, we're going to focus on participant recruitment and enrolling a patient.
Okay.
You can stop us at any time if you have any questions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Um, and I guess let's start with some introductions. Do you want to introduce yourself first, Nicole, to us?
Sure. So my name is Nicole Hank. I am the CEO and founder of Perseverance Research Center. So I am a private research entity that does research with other physicians around the valley, one of which is Dr. Barry Hendon. I've been doing clinical research now for 27 years, and been involved in MS research for probably the last 15 years. So that's my background.
Well, that's great. Thanks for joining us and
Yeah.
for joining the MSIN team now.
Yes.
So I'm Lizette Gutierrez, and I'm the research coordinator for in the UT Health Houston side, and we've communicated before. And the rest of the facilitators for today are Doug, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hey, I'm Doug. I'm also a research coordinator with the Data Coordinating Center here at UT Health Houston. And I'll be going through kind of patient screening, enrollment, consent, and all the way through creating an account in Seekster, which we'll learn more about shortly for medical records. And yeah, pass it off to Marley.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm not sure why my video is not working, but I'm waving and saying hi. And it's a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to working with you and showing you a little bit more about Seekster.
Okay. Thanks.
And we can see you, Marley.
Oh, you can? Okay,
Yeah.
good. At my end, it didn't look like it. Okay, great.
And I'm Matt Fisher. I work closely with Marley at Seekster. I've got a background in the clinical research space, working with CROs and study management and monitoring in clinical trials. If you've been in research for 27 years, Nicole, we may have crossed paths
I'm
somewhere.
sure.
I was a CRA and monitored out there in the field for a long time. So
Okay,
uh,
probably.
yeah, I've probably been through your site at some point.
Yeah.
But nice to meet you.
You as well. Thank you.
Okay. And then we have some other people are on the call as well. Amanda, do you want to introduce yourself to Nicole?
Hi, Nicole. Amanda English. I am at UT Health Houston and I support and I'm here to cheerlead the team on. This is our first site initiation visit. So I'm just here to make sure everything goes great and there's no issues or the team doesn't have any additional questions, but it's really great to see you again.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Amanda.
Yay. And we have also Kate from the MSAA team. You want to say hi, Kate, real quick?
Hi, everybody. Yep, Kate Durack. Nice to see you, Nicole. I am just
Okay.
here on behalf of MSAA, and I will be in the background. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Okay, well, let's get on. So some other of the team members of the MSAA team, of the MSIN team is, of course, MSAA, and you just talked to Kate from that team, but the MSAA is the study sponsor, and you've probably already communicated with them for contracts and for all that other good stuff. And the UT Health Houston team, which is led by Dr. Maria Fernandez, who is the PI
Share
for
your
the
screen,
study.
sorry.
I'm sorry?
Are you sharing your screen?
Yes, I am.
I can see it at the top. You might just have to click Lizette Gutierrez's screen.
Thank
So yeah, we're good. And then we have the UT Health Austin team, which is led by Leora Freeman, which is the doctor over there, and they lead the medical expertise for the study. And then today's meeting objectives, we're going to provide a high-level overview of the MSIN initiative, understand how to implement the MSA and patient registry, describe patient registry related processes to ensure that they're consistent and uniform, train clinic staff on enrollment procedures, and clarify the protocol and provide input for tailoring. So the MSIN is a collaboration between MSAA, UT Health, the Dell Medical School, University of Texas at Austin, and Novartis Pharmaceuticals. The goal of MSIN is to improve MS patient care, quality of life, through the development and support and implementation, research, and clinical practice collaboration. MSIN brings together healthcare teams, people with MS, and research leaders in MS and implementation science to learn, share, test, implement, and disseminate innovations that improve MS care, patient health, and quality of life. MSIN is innovative, is an innovative patient-driven implementation research network that connects participating MS care centers across the country. In sharing data and experiences, participating centers can learn from each other to improve care for MS patients. And you can see our mission and our vision here. So the MSIN has two phases. Phase one will be establishing a collaborative network of MS providers, implementing the patient registry, and ultimately creating a research and practice agenda. The second phase will focus on conducting an implementation study. And I sent you this slide, Nicole, just to kind of give you an overview ahead of time.
Yep, thank you. I printed it out. Thank you.
Awesome. So patient registry. So there are two components. It's the patient portal, which is the Seekster platform. This is where patients and coordinators will access the patient's health data. So the patients will be able to sign into various health provider electronic medical records and portals, and they will all come together in the Seekster portal. It will confirm the accuracy of the provider data that was imported as well. And then the patient registry, which is housed at UT Health Houston. This is where coordinators and MSI investigators will access the patient registry. You'll be able to see data imported from Seekster here, and the survey data will be housed here. What are the benefits of participants and the research community? In sharing data and experiences, participating centers can learn from each other with the goal of improving care for people living with MS. Inclusion criteria. So patients that are 18 and up are eligible, diagnosed with MS, and also that speak and understand English. Spanish-speaking individuals will be eligible at a later date. And this is going to be a flyer that's going to be provided to you guys. There'll be a poster that you can put at your practice, and also this will be given to the patients as well. And this provides some of that criteria on here for recruitment purposes. The site responsibilities. So we put together a checklist of some of the responsibilities for the sites. And some of these things you've already done, as you can see with these checklists. And the checklist, so it has checks. So the contract you've already finished. The IRB submission you've already completed. The site interview you've already done. The readiness survey is coming up. That's next. And then today you're here at the coordinator training. And then moving forward, you'll start recruiting patients, and then you are already going to community practice meetings on a monthly basis.
Yep.
And then roles of the site. So the PI will be responsible for recruiting patients that qualify in the MSIN. Make sure that you guys are IRB compliant. Attend community practice meetings, and participate in the development and the research of practice agenda. The coordinator is going to be responsible for recruiting, screening, consenting, enrolling, and tracking of patients with MS. And then, of course, maintain protocol compliance and the logs. So a little overview of the study timeline. So up here in the patient registry part, you'll see that some of these things we've already done. So we're moving forward. You're here today, and we still have this to finish, the readiness survey. And then moving forward, we'll start recruiting patients after today. And then the community practice meetings are ongoing. You guys have already attended the first one, and we'll continue on through the year. And then in 2026, we'll move on hopefully to phase 2. Data collection and reporting requirements. So we'll have logs that you will fill out, and we'll go over them right now. You'll have a delegation of responsibilities log, a training log, an adverse events log, and a screening log that will be electronic. And we'll go over that later. And then some of these logs you're going to find in the electronic data capture and on a tablet that you will receive. You need to save and these logs in a regulatory binder. You will also receive a binder. You can utilize that, or you can have it on e-regulatory. And an overview of the logs. So you'll have the delegation of responsibilities log, and you'll document who is responsible for the tasks and activities within the research team. And the PI will have to sign off on that form, which is this one. And then you'll have the training log. And the training log, you'll track training sessions that any of your staff members have attended for the MSIN, today being one of them. We'll have the adverse events log. You'll record any adverse events or incidents that occurred during the study, and the PI signs off on that one as well. The screening log, that will be on REDCap, and it's going to be part of the pre-consent screening form. And Doug is going to go over that a little bit more later on in the presentation. Okay. And this will help track the number of individuals approached and screened and enrolled in the study. And you'll receive a binder in a few weeks where you can keep these. There's going to be some copies of these, but there's also going to be an electronic version of it, and they will be that you can utilize.
Okay. Data collection.
So at a system level or at the site level, will be collecting data from a site characteristics survey that you guys have already filled out initially, the site interview, which you've already done as well, and the readiness surveys that are coming up. At a patient level, we'll be collecting data from the medical records of the patients. There'll be a baseline demographic survey which we'll talk about also later, that they will receive right after they enroll. And then there's going to be patient-reported outcome surveys that are going to come up later on that they will be receiving. And then I'll pass this on to Doug.
Yeah, sorry, happy to chime in here. So I'll cover this more in depth shortly, and the folks from Seekster will also cover it. But there are basically for your site, because it's understanding you don't participate in the health exchange network, the HIE, you
Correct.
will be using the patient-mediated method of adding medical records for each participant, and that will be within Seekster with a connection directly to the participants' patient portal using their credentials. So we'll cover that more in depth coming up, but that's it.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, Nicole?
No, not right now. Thank you.
Okay, so we have completed the first part of the training, and
Okay.
we'll go on with, I'll pass it on to Doug.
Sounds great. I'll go ahead and share 1 second. All right. So now we've come to the coordinator training portion. Does everyone see that screen okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right. There we go. So just a review, I know we covered this already, but anyone who is 18 years or older who's diagnosed with MS and who currently speaks English at this time is eligible. So my understanding, you see a lot of MS patients at the clinic, so it should be pretty much everyone with MS that's able to speak English.
Yep.
We covered the mission and the vision, just here for review. Just a very high level overview of this patient registry. So any patient screening and consent is going to take place in REDCap. Have you used REDCap before?
I have, yes.
Okay, so you're familiar with that.
Mhm.
From that REDCap process, after consent is completed, our team on the back end and working with Seekster has set it up so it automatically forwards you to the Seekster account page, where you're able to use their great platform to search for medical records. And like I said, in your case, it will be via patient-mediated searches through your health or your institution's portal. And then also as part of the study, there are both baseline and repeating surveys, and those will all take place in REDCap. And so they'll be sent automatically to the participant when they enroll, and then probably about every 3 months afterwards, although we're still finalizing some of those details. And all this data is combined into what we're calling the MSIN patient registry. And so just the big picture, or if you're looking for like an elevator pitch for participants, this patient registry will allow them to engage in medical research with healthcare providers, to analyze this information, improve treatment, patient outcomes, foster collaboration, and advance healthcare research. So that's the big picture. So your responsibilities as a coordinator, just in a little more detail here. You're going to work with the PI, or perhaps you can do this yourself, to identify eligible patients and approach them probably during their patient visits, sorry, but also, if you have other ways of communicating with patients, that's perfectly acceptable. We're going to provide you with patient-facing materials and patient folders that you can feel free to distribute to patients in clinic. And then we'll also be sending you an MSA-provided tablet that you can use to fill out these pre-consent screening forms in REDCap and use for the consent process. It's not necessary that you use that, but we thought it'd be helpful for the study. Because as you know, REDCap works with basically anything that has an internet connection.
Right.
In terms of enrollment, you can consent both in person or virtual, and that will always be completed in REDCap. And then after consent, part of the enrollment process is we want to make sure that we're connecting to the patient's medical records using the Seekster platform, which we'll cover more in depth. And so after you're, assist the participant in searching, connecting, and reviewing their medical records for completeness, and kind of help facilitate, tell them where to go and what to expect for patient surveys. That's when we consider like a successful enrollment and Uh, and apart from that, as always, you'll maintain logs, follow institutional policies regarding documentation and things that Lizette covered earlier. So as I mentioned, so these are some of the materials you will receive, including a tablet. We're still finalizing some of these items, but they'll have things like a link, quick link to the pre-consent screening form in REDCap, electronic data capture logs, things like the manual of procedures, other support links. And then you'll also be receiving paper copies of things like patient-facing materials and then printed research materials as well. So stay tuned for that. And then, again, a little bit more of an in-depth flow chart of how this process works. You're going to approach patients in clinic, most likely. If they're uncertain about participating, we'd love for you to give them the patient-facing materials and attempt to recruit them at the next visit. If they decline to participate, we still want you to fill out that REDCap pre-consent form and document why they might not be participating. So it's important to the study team, the PIs, the people providing support for the study to understand what barriers there might be to participating in a study like this. So again, I know it's, not always something you want to do when someone doesn't want to participate, but we really do need that data to help with the study and to make changes if necessary to make sure that we're hitting our recruitment goals. And then if the patient does agree to participate, we again fill out that pre-consent screening form. We move on to the consent form in REDCap. And once that consent form is complete, we have it set up to make an automatic connection to Seekster. If available, not in your case here, but we do have a one-click record search. But you will, at that point, help the participant set up their access to the MSIN patient registry, set up their account in the Seekster portal, review their medical records to make sure they're complete. And, that's the successful enrollment. And we'll go through those steps more in depth coming up. But after that process is complete, you'll deliver your final remarks. You'll remind them about the baseline surveys and the repeated patient-reported outcome surveys that are coming up, and to stay tuned for those via text and email. And then they'll also receive automatic reminders for that. Any question about any of this?
No.
Great. So this is what the pre-screening form will look like. I'm going to play a video and talk over it just to go through the process. If you've used RCAP before, this might be a little basic, but it'll help highlight a few things along the way. So we want you to type in your email here. That way that you'll receive links that the participant also gets, and you can help facilitate this process, whether in person or virtual. Preferred language, obviously, we have it marks now to flag it if it's not English, because that's what we're enrolling. First name and last name, we want to make sure that it matches what's on their medical record. That makes the entire process more easier for Seekster and us. You can edit this later, but it's easier just to do it now. Date of birth, obviously 18 years or older, otherwise it'll flag you. Provide address. So those are all just free text boxes. The state one is searchable, so it has to be one of the 50 states plus DC. These next three fields are validated, so if you don't put in something that would be expected, it's going to give you an error message. And that's just so we can do things properly on our end, and kind of lets you know that you might be entering something in incorrectly if it does give you an error. And then we want to make sure it's important that we get this phone number and this email correct for the participant that they're going to be using, because that's kind of how all these automated invitations and surveys and things will be sent out. So pretty basic stuff, but as important as I'm sure you know in your experience. We have questions about biological sex, gender, other demographics, race. Again, this field is a checkbox. There are certain validation things like unknown, I choose not to answer, which are mutually exclusive. So we have them uncheck things if they are checked. We ask for ethnicity, sorry. And then our last eligibility criteria, sorry. You have to be diagnosed with MS to participate. So if you don't click that, it'll give you an error. And then this is the part where I mentioned earlier, if you, at this point, the participant does not want to participate, we want to make sure that we're documenting why. And so these are things that we came up with off the top of our head. And there's an other box that will have branching logic to open up a text box if you click it, so that you can, sorry, Aaron, click on my part. That will come up if they have another reason for not participating, basically. So, and at that point you would click submit if this person is a no, and that would help us in the study kind of recognize why people aren't participating, those barriers that I mentioned before. However, ooh, geez, I'm having a hard time clicking here. If the person does want to participate, we want to make sure that this will, whether if you're in person with them in the clinic, we'll go ahead and click in person now. If it's a virtual interaction, you can click virtual. The only difference there is that if you click in person now, which we'll see, the consent will proceed in REDCap just with you passing the device back and forth between each other. And if it's virtual, it will send an email back and forth to both you, the participant first to review the consent and sign, and then to you once they've signed to countersign as the coordinator. Any questions about that part?
No, no.
Standard consent procedure, as always, and we'll go through that now. So the in-person example. This will load the consent form. So this is the current consent form we have. It's a standard PDF viewer in the middle. There are options like you'll see here to make it bigger. And obviously it's a scroll within a scroll. So there's a document within this larger web page. So as a coordinator, which I'm sure you've done countless times, your job is to go through this consent form to understand it, to go through each portion of it, even if the person's read the consent already. That's just, we need to do our due diligence as coordinators in any research study. Answer any questions they have. And then at that point, we can go on to the screening, or sorry, the signature portion, which is here. So standard here, again, we want to use legal name for printed name of participant. Signature, if you click that icon there, which we'll see in a second, it'll bring up a box that you can draw in, basically. On the tablet, you can just use your finger. On a computer with a mouse, you hold down the mouse button and then unclick when you're ready, and then you can put your date in here. If the person is unable to provide consent, you can have a legally authorized representative sign on their behalf, and that signature and print and date would take place instead of the above signature block. And as a coordinator, you have to do your due diligence to ensure that this is actually a legally authorized representative and not. So we do ask you to follow your institutional policies on that.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
No.
Great. So if everything looks okay, as part of the consent process in REDCap, this will, before the signature is finalized, ask you to review the document as a read-only copy to make sure it looks okay. So you'll go through there, kind of view everything, look at the signature block, make sure everything looks okay. Or rather, the participant would be doing it because it's their signature block here. And then there are options to view in another window. There's options to download and print here, which the participant might want you to do for them. And then there is, in order to finalize this portion of this consent, you click that button to certify and then hit submit. And then from that point, if you're in person, it will advance automatically. Might think for a second to the counter signature block here. And so we have information piped in for your reference. It'll put the participant name that was entered into the consent block and the date of the signature. So as a coordinator, we obviously make sure that this is the right person, the right date. And if everything looks okay, oops, bad click again, I'm so sorry. Should use the other version of this. If everything looks okay, oops, sorry. Yep. You sign and date and then kind of certify this again. Any questions about that? Sorry about the jumping around.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yep. Nope. No questions. Thank you.
So at that point, that's going to complete the consent process and trigger those automated emails and data connections between us and UT Health Houston and Seekster to get this process rolling. So as a coordinator, you should receive an email, and then the participant will receive the same email and text with the following information.
Perfect.
So this is an example of the email. It contains things like your Seekster ID, a link to set up your Seekster account, and then a link to the REDCap baseline surveys. So if we click that link, it's going to bring up a web page with a login to the MSIN patient registry. So this is going to be first, as you'll see in a second, a UT Health Houston login. And at that point, this is where you put in, or the person puts in, depending on who's driving this process, the participant's email, and then the Seekster ID from the email. So this is the email that I put in for the dummy participant. And then from that email, we'll look at that again. The Seekster ID is 4004 in bold. And at this point, we get forwarded to the Seekster set up your password page. So again, this is for the participant to come up with the password for the Seekster portal. And this is, again, Seekster, which we'll hear about shortly, is how we're going to pull in participants' medical records into the patient registry. Any questions about this process?
Nope, not so far.
Great. So we'll come up with the password, which I probably should let this go because you'll see me painstakingly trying to come up with a password on the fly. It has basic password requirements that are listed below. Depending on the age of the person, obviously we might need to talk them through this step, and obviously encourage people to really remember what email they used, what password they're setting up here. They shouldn't need their Seekster ID ever again, the 4-digit number that we just entered, but this email and password is very important.
Okay.
So this is what the welcome portal looks like. So if you click Let's Begin, it will take you to your welcome page, so your dashboard. And at this point, what you're off, so you'll have to do the patient mediated methods here. And so you're going to follow that button there, connect records yourself, as you'll see in a second. Hit select. And this is where you can connect to the patient portal. So you can search by provider name or zip code. We're going to be showing you some dummy data here. So this is just a mock provider that Seekster had set up. The patient will have to enter their credentials here, so they'll have to know this information. Once they click connect, you're connected. And so then it will begin the process of kind of pulling everything in. You'll see that on the left-hand side here, things will begin to populate. But even, and I'll let Seekster comment on this in a second, but here's basic information about the profile that the person has set up. And then if you view records, this is kind of, things that are going to be pulled in, and then the Seekster platform takes this information and populates it in really nice ways on the left-hand side there. And I think I'll pause it there. And I have a few more things to go over, but any questions on this process?
Not yet.
Great. So I think we covered these. These are kind of just more virtual versus in-person responsibilities. They're going to be here for your reference if you need them. Okay. I think, once you do a patient in person and a patient virtually, you'll kind of understand the process. But I'm always here if you have any technical issues with the REDCap side of things, and the folks at Seekster are more than happy to lend a hand as well if you have any issues there. And then I also included some enrollment process slides. It's basically most of the things I said in the text format, just in case that's helpful for you, which we'll provide to you. It goes through pre-consent screening, consenting, connection to the MSIN patient registry, connecting the Seekster, reviewing Seekster patient data, which I think they'll go into shortly. And then one thing I do want to highlight quickly is just I mentioned those surveys. So there'll be a series of baseline surveys that will take 15 to 30 minutes for the participants to fill out, and that they'll come, as I mentioned before, in that email. It's that second link in that email I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are individualized links. The participants will be able to fill those out on their own time. You don't need to fill them out with them. We just need you to coach them to kind of, get them in a reasonable time. And
Okay, and they'll fill those out every 3 months, and they should take about 15 to 30 minutes every time.
Yes, probably the first round I say would take 15 plus. The second round I think will be a little shorter, or it's the subsequent rounds of every 3 months should be a little bit shorter, because we're not repeating all of the baseline surveys.
Gotcha. Okay, and they'll get will they get reminders to fill
Yep,
out?
they'll get text
Okay,
text and email reminders, basically if they don't fill them out, and we'll send up to 3 reminders, and then we'll kind of let it alone because we don't want to be too burdensome.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yep. And then just as a note, and I'm sure if you've used RedCap, we've enabled the save and return later feature. So if participants are, filling something out and then need to go do something else, they have a way to send an email to you to kind of pick up where you left off.
Perfect. That was going to be my next question. Okay.
Great.
Great.
Great. So at this point, I'll turn it over to the folks at Seekster, unless you have any other questions for me at this point.
No, I don't. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it.
Great. All right, I'll hand it off. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Doug, you did an absolutely great job with Seekster. You might have to tell UT that you're going to join the Seekster team.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And since you did such a good job on the patient portal, we'll have Matt show the admin portal, which probably makes a little bit more sense for Kate now.
Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. So you will get an invitation, Nicole, to the MSIN admin portal. So you may have already gotten that today, or you may be getting that shortly. And you'll just have to set up your account and set your password, kind of the same way Doug showed you that the patients would have to. It's just going to automatically prompt you to set a password. Once you do that, you can log into the system and you'll see this projects page. You'll just have one project available to you, which will be the MSIN registry. And you click on that tile, and it's going to give you this dashboard view here of all the participants that you have enrolled at your site. So you'll see some kind of key information here at the top. It's going to, show you the total number that you have at your site currently. It's going to show you how many of those have created accounts and joined, which for your purposes, it's probably going to be the same number because you're initiating this process through RedCap. So it's a little different than some of our other use cases. So those numbers will probably be the same for you. And you won't be inviting patients through our system most of the time. So the invites may not apply to you either. All your patients will automatically be consented. So they'll be the same number as your total in consented because you're consenting patients in RedCap before you get to the Seekster process anyway. And then this last square here is those contributing data. So that means Seekster has made a connection with the EHR systems for that number of patients. and we've got data flowing into the system. Below that, you'll see the actual participant information. So you'll see some demographic information for each patient. You'll see their ID number. You'll see their gender, their age. Um, they'll have a site number as well, but that'll just be your site, because you only have access to your site.
Okay.
You'll also see, for instance, here on the first record, um, column, that will be a key one for you. So if you see NA in the first record column, that means we haven't received any data yet on that patient. If you see a date here in the first record column, that means we do have data that's flowing in, and there is EHR data available to view. This next column here that shows last one-click record attempt. Um, I'm in kind of a training UAT environment right now, so I can't show you the full functionality there. But this this connect button here actually connects out to the health information exchanges. And so what's going to happen on MSIN's project is we're going to automatically search for that patient in the health information exchange uh, once they register in the system. So once they've gone through the consent process in REDCap and that's recorded, the system's going to automatically take the information from REDCap and go and search for that patient's medical records. So so once you do log into the admin portal, you may see that there is already medical records available for that patient, and they may not have finished the process of the patient mediated method to connect records at your site, for instance. Um, and that means we've just been able to find other records at other medical institutions that patient may have been treated at before. So if there are records available, you'll see this little eyeball icon in blue that you can click on, and that will show you the records that are flowing in for that patient. So right now you're just seeing some dummy data that we've got in the system to be able to show you something, but what you'll most often see here in the left-hand side is which providers or which institutions we've connected data to. So, you could see things like the Mayo Clinic or, uh, Mercy Hospital or what have you. Here in the left-hand side, you'll be able to see which institutions we're getting medical records from. And then over on the right-hand side pane, you'll be able to actually scroll through and see the information that's flowing in. So you'll see some documents like this that are summary documents, that will show you medications, conditions, immunizations, procedures, even like CT scan reports. All that information could be available if it was in the EHR. So there could be a lot of information here that depending on what provider was connected. For instance, if you usually get a lot of data from the VA, for instance, and you'll see that information flowing in here. But this is just a good place to go and check and make sure that we do have EHR data that's flowing in. And eventually when we get the connection with your site, for instance, Nicole, where Dr. Hendon is practicing um, for AZ Integrated Neuro and Spine, I think it's called.
Mhm.
You'll actually see that here instead of mock provider. you'll see AZ integrated neuro and spine to know that we're pulling in that EHR data as well. So that's kind of a good overview of what you'll see. So you'll know that we are getting the MS related EHR records flowing, and anything that's in this system would then be uploaded to the database with UT and MSAA. Any questions on this so far?
No, not yet.
Okay. Marley, anything else you think I should go over for Nicole? Marley, you're on mute.
Okay, there we go. Nicole, you're the only one that's going to be facilitating this process at this particular site.
As of right now, yes. If we do add people, we'll let you know, add them to the DOA and responsibilities and whatnot.
Okay, and then Doug, you would be working with Nicole on that?
Yep, I can send out invitations as you add staff. We make sure that everything's above board.
Okay.
And just to reiterate, you will be receiving the invitation to this admin portal, so you have not received that yet.
Okay, great. We have not, yeah.
And then Nicole, if you've got questions, obviously you can reach out to Doug, but there's also the help beacon, that little blue bubble down there, and that goes directly to the Seeksters support. So whatever is easier for you, and we'll make sure that Doug is aware of any questions that come up. We'll make sure that we're in sync, but you've got two places that you can get some help as you need it. And we fully expect once that you start using the admin portal, some questions will come up. Right now it's new and you really don't have any real data in there. So feel free once you have the invite sent, and realize that invite link is only good for 24 hours. That's for security purposes. So once you get the email, you'll want to set up your account right away.
Okay, thank you.
Otherwise, I think we're good, Matt.
Okay, great.
Great. So I have a few final things to share, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. Okay. So, pardon me. So as with any study, participation is obviously voluntary and participants can withdraw. So if they do withdraw from the study, we want them to reach out to your office and to just to make them understand that what information we do have from them is going to be part of the study, and that's part of the consent process that you'll go through so that they agree to this in advance. But that if they want to withdraw, that we won't collect any information going forward.
Okay.
And as Marley mentioned, there are a few ways you can do this. The participants can reach out to you, any member of our study team like Lizette, myself, and also the Seekster portal using the help beacon that they said, that they just showed you. And then anything, if any of you get any of these requests, please forward them to me and I can help remove them from Seekster, which will, my understanding, stop the pull of additional data, and then also remove them from receiving future surveys in REDCap. So that will be our way of kind of stopping data collection and honoring their wish to withdraw. Any questions about that process?
No, nope, thanks.
Any questions of anything in general or anything you'd like to see again?
Well, I do have, how many patients are you guys anticipating from our site?
I believe that in your contract it specifies, but for the first and Kate, maybe chime in on this if you can. But because I know that there was a conversation about that yesterday. But it was 50 for the first part, I believe, the first quarter. And then just goes on from there, 50. But it's on the contract that you signed.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. I just need to review that again. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember doing that a while ago. Okay, so I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's 50 for the initial incentive payment, and then it's another 50 for every incentive payment after that stops at 200 patients.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you think you're going to have any challenges or struggles trying to get to 50?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I already know some of my research patients right now. I know every single one will say yes to this, so I'm not worried about that. And then once we get the marketing materials, that will help, just because we can keep that at Dr. Hendon's office, and then they could, reach out to me, and then I can start consenting them because I'm not always at his clinic. So I have a separate clinic than him. So it would be easier, for them to contact me if they read a little bit more about it, with the pamphlets and materials and stuff. So
Is there, because we showed you the flyer that we'll have like as a board and handouts, and there's also going to be some other patient materials. Is there anything specific that you could think of that would help with recruitment?
no, I mean, flyers are always great. Like as far as marketing for any research trial, we always like to do some kind of like social media post or something. I don't know if we're allowed to do that with you guys. If not, just the flyers would be great. Just anything that they could see in the clinic, posters, all of that would be perfect.
Yeah, we can, social media is always a great thing if your patients are connected to you guys. I think
Yeah.
that's something we can take back to our team and to
Okay.
consider. And Kate's here and she's our queen of the marketing and communications. So I'm sure she could put something together for us, and then we could get it approved by IRB and then send it out to the clinics to help with marketing.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
And please let us know if you can think of anything else, or I'm sure the team will be checking in. And if you have like, okay, this is not working, I thought it would, then we
Yeah.
can kind of strategize again with some other ways we think could recruit patients.
Okay, perfect. Will do. Thank you.
Okay. Well, anything else, Nicole, that we can answer today?
No, I don't think so. Everybody did a great job of explaining everything thoroughly. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. We're very excited, and we will be reaching out to you about the marketing materials and the tablet and all those things moving
Great.
forward. Expect an email from Seekster so you can start that process already, and we'll be in communications with you for next steps.
Expect an email
Perfect.
from us.
Okay.
And I will push out the 6-year email, but yeah, it will come in a separate email. So
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole.
All right, thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful
thank
weekend.
you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.